My name is Amanda Weiss. I'm currently a postdoctoral fellow at the Fox Center.
I'm Felix Harcourt. I'm also a postdoctoral fellow here at the center.
Okay, sure. I look at East Asian war cinema, so specifically Chinese and Japanese war memory, collective memory, by looking at contemporary Chinese and Japanese war cinema. And I kind of do a comparative study over the past 60, 70 years of history.
And I study the Ku Klux Klan in the 1920s, looking at their power both within kind of popular culture at the time and increasingly how they infiltrated political structures as kind of an ethno-nationalist popular and social movement. And that's something that kind of is part of what works with me and Amanda together, is that we both look at these questions of kind of race and ethno-nationalism and what it means to be a citizen of the country.
It's been an excellent year for me, at least. It has given me about 10 months, it's 9 or 10 months?
Mm-hmm.
10 months
Yeah.
of time, research and writing time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also coming from teaching at universities in Japan, so this is my first time being able to teach a group of mostly American or America-trained undergraduates.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been very valuable for me, and I've really been workshopping a lot of my book content in a class that I teach to the students. So I can see what I communicate well and what I need to work on.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
How about you?
I think I'm coming at it kind of from the opposite way from you. I've had a lot of time teaching in the past couple of years. I worked as kind of the visiting lecturer at a couple of different universities with fairly heavy teaching loads. So what the center has allowed me to do is get back to focusing on the research, on finishing the book, thankfully, and on moving on to the next project and starting that. And also to teach my very exciting class, right? To start batting around these big ideas in this discussion of conspiracy theory and how conspiracy theory has played into the making of modern America. And that's definitely seeing or shaping how my next research project is going, is looking at how those big ideas are being battered around in the classroom.
do you mind if I ask Felix a question?
Oh, yeah, great.
So what is your second project going to be about, and how does it connect to the conspiracy course?
So the second project is primarily kind of an expansion of looking at how the Klan influences political structures in the 1920s, and the Klan were conspiracists par excellence. Right? They were firm believers that there was a Catholic conspiracy to overrun the United States, that the Pope could show up any day and claim the fealty of all American Catholics, and that Catholic churches were busy stockpiling arms and weaponry ready for the revolution. Which is obviously absurd, as with many of the things that the Klan believes, but it has a real impact on the kinds of political activity they get into and the way in which they engage with political activity. Because if you have these conspiracist beliefs, that's really fundamentally going to inform the kinds of political action that you can and can't take. And one of the things we talk about a lot in the class is this difference between kind of a fringe conspiracism and a center conspiracism. And a center conspiracism is often a conspiracism that sees itself able to combat the perceived conspiracy through regular channels. Right? The example that we use in the class a lot is of abolitionists in the run-up to the Civil War, and the split between abolitionists who believe that there is a slave power conspiracy, but that conspiracy can be battled through the American legislative system, versus abolitionists who believed that the country was fundamentally riddled with slavery, that there was no way to overturn slavery within the existing system, slavery was written into the Constitution, and therefore you see a very different kind of political disengagement and a desire to work outside the system to combat those changes.
Is that what you'll be lecturing on tomorrow for C-SPAN?
No.
So Felix is getting interviewed for C-SPAN tomorrow as part of one of Emory's top courses. So
I mean, it's not interviewed for C-SPAN. The class is being recorded for C-SPAN, and rather than talk about something sensible like abolitionism, as you know, my professional credibility will be wavering on the tightrope of talking about alien conspiracies and the ways in which looking at the changing conspiracies regarding the idea of an extraterrestrial threat reflect changing mainstream concerns, particularly about state power in the 20th century.
Are you going to wear your tinfoil hat tomorrow to class?
I am not.
No.
Though several students have said that they may.
That's exciting. Yes.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm intrigued whether anybody comes in with wiggly bits on top or something.
I hope somebody does. I think I have a strong, well, because of looking at film studies and so on, I think if you put any graphs on the board and if anyone shows up in tinfoil hats, that will be used as B-roll for your
Probably
course.
So. Yeah.
So some kind of graphic image rather than a very intensive lecture, I think is what C-SPAN will probably choose to highlight.
Thankfully, there's only a whiteboard in the classroom, not a corkboard, so I can't be connecting things with bits of string. So I should be okay on that front.
Do you want me to get you a corkboard?
Always.
How many meetings? We had 4 meetings with the postdocs, and we each, showed a piece of our work to each other. And I found that to be really effective, and particularly practicing a job talk in front of you and Andrew, because I had never, teaching and working in Japan, I had never seen or done a job talk before, and I was completely unaware of what to expect or how to do it, how to form it, and what the expectations would be on the American job market. So I thought that was really effective, talking to you and Andrew, and then later on talking to some of the senior fellows who helped me heavily edit what was a very messy job talk into something that ended up being presentable. So that was really effective. I don't know, what about you? Did you have any kind of conversations or things that have helped you with your research?
Yeah, I think it's been really helpful to have both kind of peers at our kind of junior scholar level and the tenured professors to be able to bounce ideas off in terms of syllabus design, in terms of never-ending job applications, the job talks, right, with our writing. I think I got a lot of good feedback after we did our presentations at the lunch meetings and thinking about where can the research move forward from here and the kinds of questions that other people are asking that I'm going to need to address in doing that research.
Yeah, that's all been effective, and also I think in my case at least, the Asian studies, not the whole department, but people who do Japanese studies, Chinese studies, they've reached out to me, so I'll be doing a talk at the Confucius Institute to a primarily Chinese studies audience, which I've never done before. I've done a lot of Japanese studies focused talks, so I'm really intrigued to hear how people react to one of my chapters, and I think that it's also, I also have one at film studies for a graduate program, so I feel like it's training me, this access to different departments at Emory is definitely training me in how to speak to different groups of people, undergrads, grad students, film studies faculty, East Asian studies faculty across different disciplines. So that has been really effective training for me, at least in terms of public speaking. My favorite thing.
Your favorite thing.
Yes.
Hence why you love being interviewed, right?
Hence why I absolutely love being interviewed. Standing up, talking at meetings, all of that.
I think I have the same thing. Like, the Fox Center is an opportunity in and of itself, but it opens up a lot of other opportunities on the Emory campus and around Atlanta. So I've had the opportunity to work with kind of tenured faculty on syllabus design and their kind of feeding back into their syllabi, to go in and do guest lectures, in people's classes, to go to the talks that the James Weldon Johnson Institute puts on, which have been really interesting, and have made some, got some great ideas from seeing the work that other scholars are doing there as well. So it's been really valuable in terms of those kinds of avenues of opportunity.
I think that the Fox Center gives, first of all, a really important, they're very protective of our time.
Mm-hmm.
They want to protect our time to research, to make connections, and to really just to be able to write our projects, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a very rare and valuable commodity in academic jobs today, and
mm-hmm.
these kinds of fellowships. So I felt really free to work on my project and to get to know more people across the Emory community, especially in Asian studies and in film studies. And I mean, having that freedom, and still, you know, we're only teaching one course, so it's the
mm-hmm.
vast majority of your time goes to research or to networking, and I think that it's been really helpful.
Mm-hmm.
How about for you?
I think I really appreciate. I was thinking about this as well for writing the acknowledgements for the book, and wanting to put the Fox Center in and say something about what the Fox Center represents, and the fact that it is an institution that fundamentally stands for the humanities and study of the humanities having value in and of itself, that it's not necessarily for commercial exploitation or what kind of research funds we're going to bring in. It's about the value of the knowledge, the value of that knowledge production, and as you say, allowing scholars the kind of space and time to engage in that knowledge production, and also these connections that we can make within the center and within the university, to have the kinds of conversations that we have at our weekly lunches, to try and bat around these kind of big ideas that really you're not going to have time or energy to do anywhere else, because you're teaching 4 classes and serving on committees and trying to finish an article and preparing for a conference. And so the kind of like you say, the breathing space that allows for is really important, I think.
Yeah.